We go. Maybe just up a little. Oh, all right. How's that? Better? Yeah. Closer. There? All right, all right. Thank you. So I'm Blue Cease. I'm the executive director of the Rochester Contemporary Art Center, and I'm also proud to be the co-director of the Re-Energizing the Legacy of Frederick Douglass project. Absolutely. So I want to thank all of you for coming out today, for caring, for showing your support, and for standing together as we send a message that no matter what is said or what is done, this city stands behind Frederick Douglass and his legacy and all that it stands for. This monument dedicated to the first monument dedicated to an African American has long stood in Highland Park, and before that in downtown Rochester by Sidney Edwards. And over the last year, this whole community has come together and worked very closely and supported artist Olivia Kim. Where's Olivia? This whole community has come together to work with Olivia and support her in making her renditions of these sculptures and placing them throughout the city, quite literally putting Frederick Douglass everywhere to remind us that this great man walked these streets here in Rochester. This, to me at least, this is the power of art, and especially public art, to physically connect us with our history and more fully understand the present moment. We're here today to come together in response to a destructive act. We're saddened, we're hurt, we're angry. I personally was shocked when I learned of this vandalism, but some others I think were much less surprised. Some feared something like this might happen. The conversations and discussions about that event and what it represents are really important for us to have as a community. But today we're here for an action. And only 3 days later, we're moving through that negative action. We're placing Douglass back in public view in this historically significant site. And for me personally, again, it's an honor to be here and to share this moment with you all. I want to call out a couple people. I want to thank and recognize Michelle Daniels. Where's Michelle? There she is. She's sitting on the ground looking amazing as always, but sitting on the ground. So Michelle deserves a huge round of applause. How about a bigger round of applause for Michelle? As many of you know, Michelle has done so much to make sure that the Douglass legacy lives in Rochester. Thank you, Michelle. So now I'm going to hand over the microphone. I'm going to get out of the way, but it's my pleasure to welcome and encourage you all to join me in welcoming and thanking my partner and friend, Carvin Eisen.
Wow, we keep meeting like this. All right. You know, Chris has a lot of things for me planned to say, but everybody knows that I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Chris has a lot of things planned for me to say, and I'm going to say them, Chris, but you know I'm going to say them the way that I'm going to say them. So first of all, we got to do this. I say Frederick, you say Douglass. Frederick. Douglass. Frederick. Douglass. Frederick. Douglass. Frederick. Douglass. Frederick. All right, all right, all right. And that's so important. That is so important, right? It's so important. And I'm going to say this. Chris asked me to not say this, but I'm going to clarify it, right? One goes down, right? 10 come back. You feel me? One goes down, 10 come back. And what I mean by that, not literally that we're going to have 10 because we don't have those kind of resources, but the idea, the fact that everyone is here right now shows that Rochester, New York, and our community is not going to tolerate the desecration of one of our greatest citizens. Am I right about that? Yeah. Okay, we're totally right about that. We cannot let that happen, right? Place has memory. Do you understand what I mean by that? Place has memory. precisely this is what it means. It was on this site, right near here, that Frederick Douglass had to lobby for his daughter at Seward School. It was right on this site. And what it was that his daughter Rosetta was at the school, enrolled in the school, but she was segregated from the general population. It was the students wanted her, the teachers wanted her, but some families who happened to be white did not want her. So Douglass came here to make sure that his daughter, Rosetta, was not going to be discriminated against. So when I say place has memory, I mean it in this sense. So we knew that it was an extraordinary public, courageous political act to put a monument of an African-American man on the streets of an American city, even if that man is Frederick Douglass and even if that city is Rochester, because our culture does not understand the value of African-American people completely yet. But our presence here, right, our collective understanding here says that that is changing and that is going to move forward and that is going to change. And this is what we need to do. So by placing this monument here, again, by recognizing that these are the values of our community. Our community has a deep social justice root. Historian Rich Newman, who I think I saw out there somewhere, said it much better than I can ever say, that this was Frederick Douglass's town long before it was George Eastman's town. You feel me? You understand that? So this root of social justice, this attention and concern about abolition, the suffrage, all of the Underground Railroad, all of these were big issues and need to continue to be big issues in the modern landscape, right? The issues that we face now. And this is so important. This is critically important because this monument is a representation. This is not Frederick Douglass. This is a representation of the values that Frederick Douglass stood for, right? And we have to recognize that that work continues. That work goes on now. Right? In the modern world, we still have to deal with injustice in education, right? In criminal justice, in healthcare, in employment, and in housing, and in every dimension of our life where we will stand and we will not allow this monument to be desecrated. We must also stand up for all of those other issues because those are the issues that we face right now. So now, with all of that, that's all good and everything. I just want to introduce these two young men who it is from my understanding that these are award-winning speakers. You feel me? Public speaking, right? How many of us could do it? These are two award-winning public speakers, and Eric Daniels and Tion Stevens, they have something very important to say for us, so I want to invite them up. Gentlemen.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak to... Oh, thank you. I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to speak today, and I'm sure that Tien would say the same. We'll be presenting the letter to Horatio Gates Warner. It was published in the North Star, actually, and occurred on March 30th of 1849. Sir, my reasons, I will not say my apology, will become evident by pursuing the following brief statements of facts. Deeply desiring to give my daughter, a child between 9 and 10 years old, the advantages of a good school, and learning that Seward Seminary of Rochester was an institution of that character, I applied to its principal, Miss Tracy. The principal, after making suitable inquiries into the child's mental qualifications, agreed to receive the child into the school. I went home rejoicing. While absent from home on a visit to Cleveland, the September term commenced. But instead of receiving her into the school, according to the agreement, she was merely thrust into the room, separate from all the other scholars. And in this prison-like, solitary confinement, received the occasional visits of a teacher. On my return home, I asked her, "How do you get on at the seminary?" She answered with tears in her eyes, "Father, Miss Tracy does not allow me to go into the room with the other scholars because I'm colored." I went immediately to the seminary to remonstrate with the principal against the cruelty and injustice of treating my child as a criminal on the account of her color. I was answered by the principal that she had promised to receive my child in the school. She had consulted with the trustees and that they were opposed to the child's admission to the school.
I consulted with Mrs. Douglass and others, and the result of the consultation was to take my child from the seminary. Before withdrawing my child, Miss Tracy submitted the question to each child's reception to each scholar. To one young lady who voted to receive the child, she said, as if in astonishment, "Did you mean to vote so? Are you accustomed to black persons?" Despite, however, the incorruptible virtue of childhood and youth, they welcomed my child among them. When asked where she should sit, if admitted, several young ladies shouted, "By me! By me! By me!" Each scholar was then told by the principal that the question must be submitted to their parents, and that if one parent objects, the child would not be received in the school. The next morning, my child went to the school as usual, but returned with her books. Returned with her books saying that one person objected. "Now, sir, you are the person, the only person of all the parents who was hardened and mean enough to take the responsibility of excluding that child from school. I say, to you exclusively belongs the honor or infamy of attempting to degrade an innocent child by excluding her from the benefit of attending a respectable school. I am glad to inform you that you have not succeeded as you hoped. She had not been excluded from Seward Seminary 5 hours before she was gladly welcomed into another quite as respectable and equally Christian school. She now sits in school among children as pure and as white as yours. We are Frederick Douglass. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. What can I say? Happy birthday, Eric. Is today Eric's birthday?
Yes, it is.
Happy birthday, Eric. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday, happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
The Stevie Wonder version always works. Okay. There's some people here we have to acknowledge, and I first would like State Representative Harry Bronson to come up for a moment, please.
Hey, Harry.
Well, thank you, and I didn't know I was going to be speaking today, but you know, I look out at this crowd, and this is spectacular, absolutely spectacular. Our community, the city of Rochester, we'll let them go by. hardworking firefighters. Our community has come out united. We have come out and we've said, no matter who you are and what you look like, we're going to stand together. We're going to stand together for justice. We're going to stand together to fight for that ideal we have not reached yet as a country and as a state and as a city. The ideal that every single person deserves full equality, justice, and an opportunity to succeed. And in that opportunity, it includes, as Carvin said, it includes education, health. It includes being able to be employed, get a bank loan, have housing. All of those things we still struggle. And making sure that people of color have those opportunities. I stand with all our citizens of color. And I stand in the legacy of Frederick Douglass. And I say I will continue to fight for full equality side by side with every person that's here and every person that's in our great city. Thank you very much.
And then I don't want to put Dr. Jack Rooney on the spot, but I would love if Dr. Jack Rooney would come up for a moment and just say a few words. Dr. Jack Rooney from St. John Fisher. It's very, very important. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It is my pleasure to be here with all of you today to celebrate the great legacy of Frederick Douglass in this bicentennial year, and to add my personal support and that of our campus community to this celebration. Clearly, we don't achieve at times what our objectives are. We don't represent what our values are, but it doesn't mean that we're not committed to moving forward. It's my commitment to you today that we as a campus community will earn the respect of the Rochester community to restore the reputation of St. John Fisher College and to renew our commitment to this great community in honoring the legacy of Frederick Douglass. Thank you.
And finally, it's mid-afternoon on a Thursday, we got to get back to work. I would like Olivia Kim, sculptor, to come up and say a few words. All right?
You too. I thought it was supposed to be fast. Good afternoon, everybody. Looking at all of these faces, I am truly astounded that the unfortunate loss of the original sculpture at this site has brought such an enormous and incredible amount of love and support, especially for our beloved Frederick Douglass. I think that this is a very telling sign that we do have hope here in Rochester. And if we can continue to keep pushing for justice on every single level, we really can do it. And I would have to say that America is watching. And past America, there are all the other countries in the world that are watching what America will do. Because this problem of racism, social injustice on all levels is a world problem. It's a human problem. And if we can hopefully be kind of the front of the ship, we can create a phenomenal example for everybody. So thank you very much. Okay.
With that, we're going to say thank you so much for coming, and go and visit douglasstour.com. These monuments are incredible. They're going to be up here on the streets of our community for 3 years, we hope. 3 years, we hope, or longer. One of the most exciting things about them is not only the fact that the monument themselves, the monuments are beautiful, there's no question about that, but at the base of the monument is a QR code, and on that with that QR code and your device, your cell phone or whatever you have, it will take you right to a website that will give you verse and chapter of why the monument is in the location that it's in. You can read it or you can hear it, and to me that works is phenomenal. So we thank you so much. Go spread the word. We are a great community. We are a fabulous community, and we are not going to stand for any foolishness on any level, on anything. Thank you ever so much.